If we go through the statement, they say sketch below the graph of k of x and h of x. And then they say which the graph of k is turning at -1 and 18. S is an x-intercept. Check what is S. S is an S-intercept of h and k. So you can either use h or you can use k to get S. And then the graph of h and k, they also intersect at t, and then they also intersect at what? At S. Let's go to number 1. Calculate the coordinates of S. Look at the marks. It's 2 marks again. Now, if it's 2 marks, how are we going to approach this one? We're going to tell them at S. What is happening at S is the x-intercept. 0 is going to be equal to -2x plus 4. Take this 4 to this other side. It says -4 is going to be equal to -2x. Divide by -2, divide by -2, it says x is going to be 2. What are going to be the coordinates of S is 2 and what? And 0. Yeah, we give you 1 and then we give you 2. Number 2, they say determine the equation of k in a turning point form. How do you determine this thing in a turning point form? You are going to come and put these values of the turning point. So you are going to have y, which is going to be a, open bracket. You have x. Now, just like I'm asymptotic, if you are dealing with x, this thing here is negative. When you put it inside the bracket, it's going to be +1 all squared. And then q, you take it exactly the way it is, it's going to be +18. We give you a mark for doing this. Substituting +1 and 18, we give you a mark, no mvul. Number 2, there is this point S. Point S, it says which you have 2 and 0. You are going to substitute 2 and 0. Here you come and say you have 0, which is going to be a all over, open bracket, 2 + 1 all squared +18. If you type this in your calculator, it gives you 9a. You take this one to this other side, it gives you -18. You divide by 9, you divide by 9, it says a is going to be equal to -2. We give you another mark here. Therefore, the equation of k of x is going to be given as -2 open bracket x plus 1 plus 18. 3 marks. Now, it doesn't matter. Even if you couldn't get number 2, we go to number 3. Let's go to number 3. What are we doing with number 3? They say if k of x is given by this, determine the coordinates of t. What is happening at t? It's a point of intersection again. Meaning what? Meaning which k of x is going to be equal to what? K of x is going to be equal to what? H of x. We know what is k of x. K of x is -2x squared -4x plus 16 again. This is going to be equal to -2x again plus 4. 1 mark for this. Grouping everything one side. If you group everything one side, what are you going to have? You are going to have this one to this other side. It says which you have -2x squared. Yeah, and then this one and this one, if you take this one, it's going to become positive again. Then you're going to have -2x. Take this one to this other side, it says you're going to have +12, which is going to be 0. And then we can give you a mark for putting it in a standard form. There are 2 standard forms that you can have. Another standard form, it says 2x squared plus 2x minus 12, which is going to be 0. It's either you mark this one or you mark this one. And then from the onwards, if you want to factorize this, you can simplify it further. It says x squared plus x minus 6 is going to be 0. Open bracket. It says x, plus 3 minus 2. X is going to be -3, or x is going to be 2. 1 mark for this. 1 mark for this. And then we want the coordinates of t again. We already have used 2. We can't use 2. We're going to use -3. And then we say y is going to be given as -2 multiplied by -3 plus 4. Y is equal to, it's 10 And then it says, I'm a coordinate wakati sizowathola as -3 and what and 10. How many marks was this thing? It was 5 marks. Where do you get your 5 marks? Look, equating on this standard form, factorizing both values of x, coordinates of t. We give you all in all, you get 5 marks. Yeah, you can say this one is not applicable. This one for this question is not applicable. Okay, we are going to number 4. On number 4, look at the following. Number 4, they're asking, determine the values of x for which k of x is below h of x. K of x is below. Let's go and check where k of x is below. You go and highlight where k of x is below. Now, if you look here, k of x is below. Okay? K of x is going to be below here. H of x is above, k of x is below. Even here, starting from here. K of x is below. If you continue with this thing here, if you were to extend this thing is going to look like this. K of x is below, h of x is above. What are the x values that are making this to be possible? We are going to check what are x values that are making to be possible. Starting from here, what is x here? We know x here is equal to -3. What is x here at the point of intersection? X is equal to what? To 2. Values that are this side, are they bigger than -3 or less than -3? Less than -3. So you're going to tell them which here, x is going to be less than -3, or x is going to be greater than 2. It's 1, it's 2. Here, you get 2 marks. Number 5. Yeah, x is an element. X is an element from -infinity up until you get to -3, not included. Okay? Or x is an element from 2 not included up until you get to +infinity, like this. And then it's 1 mark, 1 mark. Still, again, it doesn't match. It's exactly the same way. It's just which one you've used a different notation. Question 5. 5.1. It is further given that k is a graph of g prime of x. So it means, in other words, this graph is g prime of x, meaning which there was g of x. For which values of x is this thing going to be concave up? What are the values of x this thing here is going to be concave up? 5.1, for which values of x is this thing going to be concave up? Again, we know what is k of x. What is k of x? -2x squared, okay? plus 4x minus 4x plus 16. Yeah, if you get k prime of x, you're going to get it as -4x minus 4. Ne? And then we give you a mark for this. Ne? And then for concave up, it means which -4x minus 4 should be greater than 0. We're going to give you a mark for this. And then if you take this one to this other side, it says which are going to have -4x greater than 4. Divide by -4. Divide by -4. It says x is going to be less than -1. And then we give you another mark for this. Yes. Yeah, if you wrote x is less than -1, we can give you an implemented mark. It can be 2 marks here. Yeah, if you divide with a negative, the sign is going to change. Every time when you divide or multiply with a negative, the sign is going to become less than. Yeah. Okay, yeah. They say sketch the graph of G showing the x values of the turning point and the point of inflection. How is this thing going to look like? Guys, please pay attention here. Please pay attention. I know you don't have money, but please try to pay attention. They say, I am so broke, I can't even pay attention. Okay. Look at what is happening here. From a parabolic function, we can go to a cubic. I'm going to draw it here so that you understand what's going on. Now, x-intercept of a parabolic function, x-intercept of a parabolic function, they are a turning point of a cubic function. X-intercept of a parabolic function. Now, x-intercept of a parabolic function. They are a turning point of a cubic function. So meaning in other words, here you are going to have a turning point at -3. No, what is this point? It's not -3. What is this one? What is the other x value? No, it's not -3. -3 is here. It's -4. And then we have -4 and 2. Okay, if we have -4 and 2, graph here is going to turn at -4, and then it's also going to turn at what? At -3. Now, how then do you know which graph here it's going to look like this? Or it's going to look like this? How do you know that? Check here. You're going to look at the following here. The graph here, it starts by being negative. You see the gradient of this graph. The gradient of this graph is negative. It's on the negative side. It's below the x-axis. So for a graph to have a negative gradient, it should look something like this. So your graph is going to start by looking something like this first. And then after that, it becomes positive. This is positive. This part is the positive side. And then it turns. And then it's also going to turn at. How is your graph going to look like? I said you have what? You have -4. So your graph is going to start by being negative. It turns at -4. So you can come and write with the graph is going to turn at -4. And then we don't know the y value. We don't care. And then after that, the graph is also going to turn here at 2. And something. We don't know the something. And then this is how our graph is going to look like. And then we also show them the point of inflation here, which is going to be -1. And something. We don't know the something. And then they're going to give you, I think, how many marks for this? 3. It's 3 marks. Huh? Yeah, we're going to give you for the correct shape, which you started by being negative, and then you went to be positive. We give you 1 mark for the turning point, and then 1 mark for the point of inflection.